All right, take two. Cheryl Shah guides people to learn and apply awareness and self-compassion in their lives. Cheryl has 20 plus years of corporate experience. She's a certified mindfulness expert and self-compassion teacher. And she also teaches at the University of University of California, San Diego, for 10 years. Without further ado, I give you Cheryl to talk about navigating overwhelm.
Thank you. Oh, can you all hear me?
Yeah, I think she needs it for the video.
Oh, you need it here. I can use it. I always feel so professional when I use this. Hi, everyone. It's so wonderful to be here. And I was telling Anne that between Jen and Anne, you both set me up for success because you literally did half my job for me today. And I love it. So as Kelly said, Cheryl Shah, 28 years in corporate finance, left in 2022 for honestly a lot of the reasons Anne left too. Reporting to a bunch of men that didn't appreciate my contributions and was in overwhelm a lot. Because in the process, we were raising two daughters. And so I faked it really well as well. And everyone would constantly praise me for having it together. And so that just made me want to work harder until I said, fuck it. So I started a business called Simply Pause to help people in organizations make better decisions with this power of the pause. I don't know which way to turn.
Left or right?
Oh, there we go. We don't need to do that. Okay. So I want to take you all through a reflective practice. So just getting in your seats comfortable. Let's just start by taking a few deep intentional inhales, followed by audible releasing exhales. Just releasing any tension. It's the middle of a Friday. Everyone's ready for happy hour. Just settling into your bodies, noticing your feet on the ground. Any sounds in the environment. And I want you all to reflect on a difficult situation in your life. Maybe from 1 to 10, about a 5 or a 6, nothing too traumatizing, but enough where you can feel the stress in your body. Just bring the situation to mind. Who were you with? Where were you? And so what did your body feel like when you bring up this stressful situation? Was there a tightening in the chest and the stomach? The jaws clenched? Throat dry? Just reflect. And what thoughts were going on in your mind? Such as, can't believe this is happening. How could I be so stupid? I'm not good enough for this job. It's not fair. What thoughts were present? And then what emotions were present? Fear, anger, sadness, annoyance, irritability. Okay, coming back to the room. So let's start with the body. How did you know you were stressed? How did the body, what did it show up for you? And let's just popcorn these out. What did you notice in your body?
Tight stomach.
Tight stomach, yeah.
Tension in my forehead.
Tension in your forehead.
Neck, shoulders.
Neck, shoulders, yeah.
Holding my breath.
Yeah, yeah. What thoughts came up?
I have a lot to do.
I have a lot to do.
Fear of, I'm feeling afraid to fail.
Yeah, yeah.
That you have to juggle.
What?
Juggle responsibilities.
Oh, juggling, multiple priorities, yeah. And what emotions came up?
Frustration.
Frustration.
Anger and disappointment.
Anger and disappointment. Yeah. Well, thank you all for that. Yeah. Oh, shoot. Oh, there we go. So, you know, we're always going to have external stressors, always, right? But it's inside that really causes us the most suffering. How many of you can relate to this? How many of you do this when you are encountered with an overwhelming situation or a life challenge? Does anyone ruminate? Yeah. Does anyone catastrophize? Oh my God, what if this happened? What if that happened? Does anyone criticize themselves? Not good enough, imposter syndrome? Blame? So it's very common, right? And so this is what actually causes our internal storm. So, you know, talking about, I'm going to write off Anne here. Vulnerability. So just Tuesday, my husband tells me that his company is possibly going to shut down May 15th, 60 days. Wow. Okay. I don't make that much as a mindfulness teacher. I left that money on the table when I left finance. Yeah, it was a lot of uncertainty, and I could have gone one of two directions. And I said, you know what? I took a deep breath and I said, okay, I'm going to do what I can do, and we're not getting in my head about this right now. And it was funny because my husband would come home, he came home, and he's like, people just act like, you know, nothing, they didn't say anything. And I go to him, and I said, well, people are doing what they can control, and that's their job right now. And there's really, the thoughts going swirling around is just going to make it worse for people and put them in further overwhelm. And so that's what this power of pause has given me in my own life, and what has motivated me to make it my passion to help people in the workplace manage their reactions to situations that are just out of our control. So how many of you can relate to our external storm, right? How many of you have pressure? A lot of pressure. Information overload. How many of you get like 60 emails, and no matter how much you unsubscribe, they still keep coming? Yeah. Like, I'm just like, oh, stop it, you know? Yeah. Distracted mind because of all of the, you know, Slack team messages, right? Texts that come through, social media, right? So we're always on. And then you got to couple it in the uncertainty, right? Of our political climate, of the constant restructuring at almost every company. It doesn't matter, startup or a Fortune 100 company. So how can we take this power of pause? So at UCSD, I teach a course to the community called Mindful-Based Stress Reduction and Mindful Self-Compassion. And I tailor both of these together with my own corporate experience and create programs to really create a habit. So we all know why this is important, right? I mean, there's so much out there about mindfulness, but it's really hard. It's hard to create this habit of getting out of autopilot and taking our amygdala, the reptilian part of our brain, offline when we're in fight, flight, freeze, and engaging our prefrontal cortex, which is the higher functioning part of our brain, to take a pause. And so through habit change and consistency, what research shows is we can change our brains through neuroplasticity. So if we keep practicing stuff like mindfulness and compassion, we are training our brains for that to be our automatic way. I'm teaching a class Sunday mornings, and one of the women has been practicing. It's an 8-week course. And she's like, it's really weird. Like, I just feel more focused at work. Like I can focus on one thing. I had the biggest smile on my face. I was like, wow. And that's what lights me up, is when that light bulb goes on for someone and they experience this. And they experience the change. And so it does take consistent practice, but it doesn't have to be a lot. I think when we talk about mindfulness, people think we have to meditate for 45 minutes up on a mountain somewhere. And it's really, that's not what it is. That can be a way to help, but everyone has a different way of getting to that result of not reacting on autopilot. So I love this quote by Viktor Frankl: between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and freedom. So no one can take away our choice in how we're going to respond. So if someone says something to me that pisses me off, I can take a few breaths, right? I could say, let's talk tomorrow. But I have that choice. I'm not just biting someone's head off. And so that choice has really helped me in life in general. So what does it mean when we talk about a mindful approach? Right? So many of us will live in regret, right? We're constantly rehashing the past, failed attempts, anger, or we're constantly going to the future. Right? We're future expectations, impatience, worry. But when we're present, which is honestly, it's a cliche, but that's all we really have. It's the only thing we have control over is this moment. How can I show up as my best self in this moment? And sometimes it might be, I want to go in my bed and put the covers over my head. But that's okay. So can we be more self-aware of what we need? Can we have more clarity and choice? And then from that place of presence, can we take action? And so I want to take you through a practice, if you're all game. Yeah. 5 minutes, maybe? Okay, so get comfortable in your seats. You can have the eyes open or closed or partially open. The soft gaze downward. Let's just start focusing on the breath, inhaling and exhaling. Really feeling the breath in the body. You're noticing the rising and falling of the abdomen and chest as you inhale and exhale. You're noticing the expansion and contraction of the rib cage with each breath. And the mind will wander to different thoughts, which is completely normal. Our minds think like our hearts beat. Not a problem. When you notice the thought, maybe note it, and then return the attention back to the breath. And now expanding your field of awareness to include the rest of your body. Maybe the back against the chair. Your feet on the ground. How does your body feel today? What is your body telling you? And if there's any unpleasant sensations, maybe a heaviness because you're tired, be offering yourself some kindness, putting a hand on the heart or on that part of the body that feels tense. Knowing that you're doing the best you can. right now, right here. Returning the attention back to the breath, inhaling and exhaling. And then just remembering that there's so much more right with you than wrong if you're sitting here breathing. And before I end this short practice, just taking a moment to reflect to yourselves what this experience was like for you, and what do you feel right now? You're ready, the eyes are closed, opening them, returning the attention back to one another. So I'm curious, I'd love to hear from some of you. What came up for you? What was this experience like for you? And challenges are welcome too. It's not all about relaxation, because that doesn't always come up.
The challenge for me has always been to be able to stay still. And I learned how to stay still through movement. So now I can stay still.
So the movement helps you stay
Yes.
still in a sitting practice. Nice, thank you. Anyone else?
There's a tendency of your mind to wander on what you're going to be doing next or what, but then when you say focus on your breath, then it kind of centers you.
Yeah. Yeah, so you noticed the mind was wandering and then you brought the attention back to the breath. Yeah, thank you. Anyone else?
And I noticed when you invited us to just do what we needed to do with respect to breath, I felt the need to go in with more vigor. So I think that invitation to focus on how you're feeling is important.
Yeah.
So that invitation at all is, to just focus on what's going on in here.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you.
Maybe it's because the earlier meditations, I was either thinking or anticipating speaking, but this felt very holistic and full body in a way. And so I could feel myself melting into softness just a little bit more.
Nice, thank you, Anne.
Can I add one thing?
Sure.
I really love the tone of your voice.
Oh, thank you.
And
Thank you, that too.
the pace of how you're guiding the meditation, because for me, that's what's always hard is when it's too fast.
Yeah.
And I have learned to be able to, I wasn't able to hold a breath or take that full deep breath of for a long time due to life, and now I can do it. But when I was trying to be mindful with a guided meditation, the tone of the person sometimes wouldn't allow me to do that, or it was too fast. But yours was like the right piece for me personally. So thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So I think Janet alluded to this morning, is our bodies are always in the present moment, right? And that means even breathing, our senses. I do a sense and savor walk, which people love, bringing us back to our senses when we're walking outside. And when we get in our bodies process a lot slower than our minds, right? Our minds will just, you all saw it, they'll start racing. And when we can get in our bodies and really kind of settle in there, it gets uncomfortable for people because we're not used to being, we're used to doing.
Yeah.
Most people are used to doing, that's why we overschedule ourselves of busyness so we don't have to be with the yuck in here. And so I always say that, when I teach self-compassion, there's two sides of self-compassion. And the first side is really that nurturing side of, yeah, I'm really tired right now and I just want to go to bed. And maybe that's what you need to do. You need to rest, and that's a self-compassionate thing to do. But then Kristen Neff, who's a big researcher on self-compassion, talks about this fierce self-compassion, which is the action side. How can we motivate ourselves with this compassionate voice inside of us instead of that inner critic? And the research actually shows that self-compassionate people actually have higher standards and are more resilient and more successful. And so you need both. I think most people get stuck on self-compassion as just this kind side, and we get self-indulgent and we get weak, but we need both. And the first step is validating how we feel and not dismissing it. If I'm feeling sad or if I'm feeling anxiety, for me, I put a hand on my heart, take a few deep breaths, and then maybe I rest a little bit, which there's nothing wrong with that, and then an action can come from that. So I always, with my mindfulness practices that I lead, I always include that compassionate aspect, because back in 2016, I struggled with a lot of depression. I was working for a startup, 12 hours a day. It was insane, and my daughters were in middle school, so it was go, go, go. I hit depression. Some of it was perimenopausal, and I was on medication, a psychiatrist, all this stuff, and I kind of put it all aside. And when I would sit in my meditation practice, I'm like, I am so depressed. Like, why in the hell would I want to sit in this? Like, this is hard. But when I brought in self-compassion, I don't know, it just softened it a little bit for me. And so I always say to people that sometimes when we're in that state of overwhelm, we need to bring in some kindness, because it's not easy to be in that. And when we can give compassion and awareness to ourselves and how we are, that's when change can start to happen, because then we can change our systems. Then we can change our teams and our organizations. But it has to start with us. It has to. So some of my favorite tips to take a pause in the moment is the simple STOP acronym. So if you're triggered, if you are really having a hard time, someone says something to you that's not very nice, you're stuck in traffic, the S is for just stop. Just stop what you're doing, take a few breaths, and then observe your body, get into your senses. But observe with kindness. Maybe put a hand on the heart. Maybe give yourself a hug, whatever it means to you, and no one needs to know. And then take action from there, because at that point, you're not on autopilot anymore. You're making a conscious choice in how you want to respond, especially in the workplace. Labeling our emotions. The simple act of labeling our emotions takes that amygdala offline, the research shows, and engages our prefrontal cortex. And then feel the emotion in the body. I work with a lab on campus, and I'm doing 4 sessions with them. I did like 6 before, and they're scientists, they're really overwhelmed because they don't know if they're gonna get funding. Some of them are grads, they don't know if they're gonna get a job. I mean, they're really overwhelmed. And I did this sense and savor walk where they really had to be with themselves, right? And in the beginning, we do a check-in, like we've done here, how are you feeling? And I remember one woman is like, I feel good, I feel fine, great. Another woman's overwhelmed. So they do the sense and savor walk, and they come in, and I ask them the same question. It's 15 minutes. And I said, okay, how was that? How was that sense and savor walk? You get all kinds of responses. But the one girl that said, I'm good, I'm fine. She's like, I started walking, and then she's like, before I knew it, I was crying. She's like, I was crying. And I'm like, crying's not a bad thing. We all need a good cry. And so when we can feel the emotion in our body with kindness for ourselves again, we are validating our experience. We're not dismissing it. Right? We're letting ourselves feel what it is. And that's not just with the I don't want to say negative emotions, because we need all emotions. We need the full experience. But like even things like joy. Like what does joy and gratitude feel like in your body? I took a class called Humanize, and every day I had to talk to a partner. And we had to say one thing that was hard and what it felt like in our body, and one thing that we were grateful for and what it felt like in our body. I had no idea what gratitude felt like in my body. Is that gratitude? Like, what the hell does gratitude feel like in my body? And so I made it a practice of mine that when I'm drinking my morning coffee, listening to the birds, I'm like, oh, this is gratitude. This is joy. And so, you know, in my Sunday class, you know, we do what's called a pleasant events calendar. And we, you know, kind of write down a pleasant event every day. And one of the questions is, what does it feel like in the body? And no one ever knows. Like, yeah, it felt great. I go, well, I come back to it. Like, well, what does it feel like in the body? I don't know. And I said, well, for home practice, just check in with the body. Is there an openness? Is it warm? Because we are very good at knowing what unpleasant feels like in the body. But once we have that down, what would it feel like to notice those moments of joy? I think we'd be a hell of a lot happier. This one I love. I do it when I'm having a difficult conversation. I've done it many times in my corporate finance when I've had to have some conversations with my bosses. It's really feeling my feet on the ground. I don't know if it's the furthest part from my head, but it just really helps me. And sometimes my toes are like all scrunched up because I'm so mad, but it really helps me get grounded, you know, when I feel my feet. So everyday mindfulness, both of you said it, mindful check-in, right? Before you start a meeting, don't even call it a mindful check-in. Just say, hey, let's just pause for a minute. So I do a lot in my programs talking about single tasking instead of multitasking. I actually call it switch tasking, you know, not doing like two separate things like checking email and in a meeting, because you're not doing, you know, one of those right? Mm-hmm. No device meetings. Yeah, the meeting, allow your team members to take a minute. This has been a game changer for me, turning off all my notifications. Even when I was in finance, I put my teams on do not disturb. And I would tell my manager, I would communicate, hey, I'm trying to get this project done and I can't focus if people are pinging me all the time. If you need me, you know where I'm at. And so really, you know, even on my phone, for my personal life, I have my family members, I'm on do not disturb, my text. So I get to choose when to go to my phone. Take social media off my phone because I know me. If I post something, I'm that person. Okay, who responded? So I know this about me. So I'm like, just take it off the phone. Just take a deep breath when you're triggered. Someone cut me off yesterday. It's like, use some choice words. I just took 2 deep breaths. You know, one of the biggest questions I get in the classes I teach is I just can't remember. And so on my watch, I have the mindfulness app. I have it ding every hour. And I just take a breath. That's all. But it just reminds me, or I'll check in like, okay, how am I feeling right now? Like, what do I need right now? Eating a meal mindfully. I do a lot of mindful communication. Having difficult conversations is a big one I do. How can we have difficult conversations with kindness and compassion? You know, this is a big deal, I think, in meetings, one-on-ones, team meetings. And then the sense and savor walk. Get outside when you take your break. 5 minutes. I like to look at the sky and take a few breaths. For some reason, the sky suits me. So like I said, I do a lot of work with UCSD. I'm really excited. Youth is a big passion of mine, so we teach an undergrad course to help young adults really learn these skills, because we focus so much on our technical skills. And if, the youth have so many distractions right now, so we're doing that, and a lot of workplace stuff. And like I said, it's all about habit change and creating a consistent practice. Any questions?